Yeah, because the way I see it, uh, Beg Billy Begwolo was taking care of me the last 24, 36 hours. He actually used his magic to get rid of the curses and the blindness and all
Yes.
this stuff. And he
Yes.
told me Grimoire wants us to go check out Ironlock Prison. So after a day of kind of lounging around, stretching a little bit, getting out of bed after like 2 or 3 days, Mr. Fletcher is itching to get back to Wickhaven. And as far as he's concerned, he's got a job going to Ironlock through that tunnel and see what's going on.
Good. Excellent. And Wart, how about yourself?
So, like I mentioned in the text, during the day, Ward spent most of the time, he would have, I don't know if they have any brewing tools, like a brewing section in the kitchen of Wickhaven. I doubt it. He would have gone to his favorite bar
Okay.
nearby, and there's one I put in his background. I forget the name right now, but he's like that was his normal regular place before, so he's good friends with the barkeep, and probably would have negotiated with him to go back in the kitchen, learn how to, well, he already knows how to brew, use those tools, so that when his mentor, Branch of the Wind, he gave him a bunch, like 5 mushrooms of these magical gnome mushrooms. And they learned that if you brew the mushrooms into the alcohol, you get the spell effect without getting the chance of madness. So he would just wanted to brew different bottles. I don't know if it's your thought, Father Jason, to have like a 1 bottle per mushroom, so
Yeah,
one
just
use
one
each.
bottle, one use per mushroom. Absolutely. Yes.
So just
Acts like a
little
potion.
flasks,
Yes.
and he keeps them in his coat pockets.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. So you have what was it number? It was 5 flasks now, right?
Yes, they are.
One for each mushroom.
Clarity to see invisible things. Bear's endurance to gain constitution and temporary hit points. Cat's grace to gain dexterity. Long stride to gain speed, and resistance to gain a bonus to a saving throw.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Uh yes. So you after brewing, you arrive there to the Wickhaven and you see Mr. Fletcher sitting at the table. I don't know if you had seen Mr. Fletcher the day before, but if you did, you would notice immediately that he looks much better,
Almost miraculously better.
almost miraculously better.
It's
Yes.
like unless let's see, no, you were somewhere during these last couple of adventures, weren't you? Weren't or
War went
were
to
you
Worthington's tower.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so chances are he didn't see him unless he came on his own initiative down to the culvert and brought him flowers or something.
But he noticed he was missing, and you probably heard that he got roughed up.
Yes, no, I'm sure that there's been much talk about that incident in the at the mansion, without a doubt. At least among the group, I would imagine.
The ward sits down at the table and notices Fletch is there. And kind of, oh, so you're back. Cheers. He holds out his cup to tap it if Fletch wants to.
Hey, did you brew some new beer?
Yeah, I had a little chat with my mentor, and yeah, like clarified some things for me, and he gave me these mushrooms. I think you might have heard of them. I forget the exact title. I need to go to Kenka, but he says the name, the gnomish mushrooms, and they usually when you use them, it's a little dangerous because you can start to go crazy. But we learned that all things are better with alcohol. If you brew them into the drink directly, and he pulls out one of the little bottles, then you can get all the benefits without any of the chance of the craziness.
That's interesting.
So,
You know, the crew's got a pretty good marketing system and distribution system. You should think about offering that to us because we could help you get it out there. We could make quite a bit of money together. I'm sure Nana Bella would be really interested in that because the negative effects of the shrooms have always plagued our operation.
well, before putting it to market, we might want to keep it as our own advantage before risking giving it to our opponents as well. I don't know if would be smart enough to think of that, but all right, Michael. Oh yeah, maybe he's not big into making money.
He's being non-committal.
And money's just possessions aren't his thing. He's just going to the usefulness.
Well, you see a quick gleam of greed in Mr. Fletcher's eyes, but then he realizes he's not getting any traction yet, and then he just goes back to his normal, strictly business stare. So, we got a job.
So I heard. Back to Ironlock.
Back to Ironlock.
Actually, I
Now,
don't think we're
apparently
there
everybody
yet.
else is tied up in some tea party or something, but that's fine. I hate that stuff anyway. I hate being bodyguard on the outside of that stuff. Let's go in and see what's going on there, because I heard there's a lot of trouble. Seems like there was a couple of pretty chaotic days while I was in bed.
Oh yeah, you missed an adventure.
Catch me up.
And it starts with what he did and how they went with Billy and Brogard and Shoelace and Finrod to Worthington's tower and
Oh, Grimoire. We went with Grimoire, not Billy.
Grimoire, sorry.
Yeah.
And they incited the crowds to get in, and there was a bit of a hullabaloo. And he's like, I'm sure with you we would have been a little more discreet, but on this crew that wasn't their priority. And they went up to the top and they fought those bug monsters, and Mole showed up and they turned off the machine. And when they got back down, there was this portal, or the paintings were portals, and they kind of put their head through one, but then realized time was running out, so they had to leave. And then
I'm sure there's lots of juicy stuff in that tower.
Yeah, a lot of weird things I'd never seen before, but
I saw in the paper that Worthington got what was coming for him to him.
yeah,
I gotta see if that cockroach pops up his head again.
I wasn't there for that, but they claimed that that new member of the Eight, that what's his name?
Reginald.
Reginald Brewster guy. They're saying something about a mind flayer, or he wasn't what he looked like. He's in cahoots with Worthington, who might be dead or might not be dead. And
yeah, I read the paper, but Mr. Begwillow caught me up on that.
okay,
I can't
yeah, he was
believe
there.
that Shifty all along was Mr. William Begwillow. My parents loved him. He was a superstar. Wow. And what a professional, too.
Yeah, my family always liked the orc folk music, so we didn't listen to the stuff in common that much.
Oh, if you ever get a chance, ask him to sing you one of his old songs. Incredible voice. I still remember as a little kid hearing him once in a while.
Hmm.
My mom would swoon over him. Wow. But he's a little for the older folk now. The gnomes that are only 300, 325 years old.
Yeah, you're quite long-lived, you gnomes.
Yeah, according to certain new estimates, we can live up to about 450 years.
Good. Well, so what's the plan for moving down to the Iron Lock prison? What you do know is on the you do have the Manhattanheim Times from the day there, and it does say
Mhm.
have that headline: "Disaster at Iron Lock Prison, explosive inferno erupts, tentacles wreak havoc in the harbor." And then, like the tagline there is that a catastrophic explosion in Iron Lock prison has sent shockwaves throughout the city. The ensuing inferno consumed the prison and spread to the surrounding waters, setting the harbor ablaze. As brave boats rushed to the scene to offer assistance, they were met with an unexpected horror. Gigantic tentacles emerged from the depths, dragging rescue vessels into the watery abyss. So there you have quite a yes, that's kind of what's going on down there at the harbor. And so um
Okay, now does it take us a boat? Do we need a boat to get to this tunnel?
the tunnel was the ghost had showed you like
Because
yes.
originally we had to take a boat. He took us to Iron Lock Prison, and then he took us to that tunnel that led to basically the garbage chute on the island. Now, whether he mentioned a different tunnel edition of that, I don't know. But that's the way we went when Grimoire first went to go look into the tower.
Okay, that's what he was referring to. That's the way. Yep. You have to get a boat,
Okay.
get to that section that brings you down through the tunnel, goes to the garbage chute. Yep.
Okay. So, since a boat would get grabbed and pulled under and things by evil tentacles, it seems to me what we need to do. Well, actually, let me start talking in. Sorry, I should be talking in Fletcher speak. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We can have Sprocket drop us off in the dirigible at night. We do like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. Normally there's a nice mist there. He drops us off on the access to the tunnel. Maybe he can get us close enough that if we see there's somebody guarding the tunnel, I can take him out before we land. And then we just have him stand by. We don't want him to get too close to the water because I hear there's these big tentacles that come out and grab people. What does that sound like? Does that sound like feasible, Dungeon Master?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
If Sprock is available for the drop off, right, Father John?
I think so. This is already the nighttime and he's not involved. Oh, he will be involved in the meeting of the secret society, but I think that's even later at night.
Yes.
And he's not going inside, right?
And
From
he's
what
just
I
going, dropping
understand.
us off, coming back. Is that the plan?
Yeah, something like that. He could like we could
Or
agree that
hover
we come
until
back. He comes back and picks us up in an hour or something like that. I think what we can plan on is he comes back to pick us up in an hour. Because if something happens and we got to get out of that tunnel, I'm pretty confident we can hide somewhere in the rocks until he can come pick us up. I think it's a calculated risk, but it's worth it. They probably think nobody would be insane enough to go to that prison right now.
and if I guess we can assume the night vision goggles that he invented. I think he last lent them to Brogar, but if Brogar is okay, we can assume he's okay. We can borrow him back and they can fly without lights or anything.
Okay. Yes.
And he can see in the dark with those.
Perfect. And what time are you going now? Just give me a quick. So it's at
When
night.
is Yeah, when was the meeting going to be with the secret society? That was going to be like 2 or 3 a.m., wasn't it?
Yeah, they're talking late
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll go like
midnight.
just after midnight.
Okay. It
That way he knows
is
that by 1 a.m. he has to come pick us up or something like that.
okay. You go out towards the I'm gonna assume you have everything you need for the travel. You have all your supplies. Okay.
But of course, my horse.
And you are out in the woods in the area where you have landed the dirigible. Uh, and
Where
so
we've stashed it.
yes, where you
Okay.
stashed it exactly.
Okay. Just
Um,
making sure we're yeah.
and it is a dark, overcast. There's billows, like the smoke is like in the air in general from the burning inferno of the of Iron Log. And so it's kind of cast like a grayish, darker cloud over the top of it. However, you do think that you'll be able to still fly the dirigible through that, but this is going to give you great advantage in your approach because you're sort of hidden in this heavy cloud of smoke. And so that's just what the approach would be like.
And Sprocket gets the idea of making a cloud creating machine to always have that effect around the dirigible.
That's great. Hey, George. Yes, Stanley. You ever notice that same cloud just moves in a line every night and circles around Ironlock Prison and then just goes back over the woods? Yeah, I know, Stanley. It's pretty weird, isn't it? I'm just thinking it's unnatural. Maybe we had too much to drink.
Yes, so you begin your approach towards Iron Lock, and you can see throughout the city as you're flying over Manhattanheim that there are different well, yeah, the city is really very much in turmoil. Many of the lights are out, of course, but there's other places where you do see smaller fires within the city, like there's been some uprisings and riots and all that. And as you get closer to the harbor, and you're looking down at the harbor, the first thing you do notice is that there is quite a bit of activity on the harbor, the piers themselves, and sailors have been pulling their boats up out of the water and away from the harbor. So many of so that's kind of what you're seeing, looking down on lots of activities of boats that are but I've been tried to be saved, and you get a sense that many of them have actually been pulled down. You do not see any tentacles rising up out of the watery abyss, none of that sort. What you do see though is Ironlock Prison, and it had reached up into the sky, like pretty high up into the air, but like it hasn't been completely destroyed. Parts of it have been blown to bits. There's like, you can see the interior of it from other places. But there's heavy smoke that is still kind of billowing from it, like, like the fire has gone out, but there's still smoldering heavy black smoke around Ironlock. If you want to do closer examination before you land, you can. Just let me know what you'd like to do.
Oh yeah, if we can do a round of it and see how it looks, like if we can see any creatures in the openings, if we see any bodies floating around in the water. We definitely want to see if there's anybody guarding that one landing that leads to the tunnel. See if we have to deal with that.
Okay.
So
And any
you
signs of
want me to
tentacles anywhere.
do, yeah, any signs of tentacles of any shape or form.
Okay. Let's do this. What sort of skill or do you want to use as you're looking for this?
I'd suggest either investigation or perception.
Okay.
Investigation?
Yes.
The first roll of
And
Mr. Fletcher.
Wart's helping
It's
you.
72 hours after a lot of rolls desperately trying to survive.
Wart is also helping you.
Yep.
Oh, good. Then I get advantage, which is great. Let me get another dice here. Well, it's always good to have a colleague. Okay, I got an 18.
Give me what you are. What is Mr. Fletcher and Ward looking for in particular?
All right, specifically,
Yes.
specifically, did I mention tentacles of any way, shape, size, or form?
No tentacles.
If there's anybody guarding the entrance to the tunnel,
Yes.
how many?
4 large
4
creatures. Yes.
large creatures. Do they look like the bug boys, or do they look like something else?
They're they're ogres.
Wow, 4 ogres. All right. Now, you mentioned that certain parts of the structure have been, how shall we say, blown open.
Yes.
Are there any good spots where we could get close enough to sort of hop in from the dirigible
Yes,
that are
in
not
fact,
swarming with
you're
creatures
you're
that want
quite
to?
surprised to see. So here's what you rolled an 18.
Yes.
Okay, the epicenter of the explosion, it literally no pun intended, it seemed to have blown its lid. Okay. And the upper
Hmm.
portion is where the explosion happened. And the whole top part of the iron lock pillar, the tower prison was blown out. Okay. And it looks like, so you have charred deep, the stone there is charred deep black, and there's smoke that is still emitting from there. And it looks like the fire had burned downward. The stone structure is still in place, of course, for the most part, but the explosion was up towards the top. Thus, you could descend the dirigible over the top portion and see if you could get in, rappelling in or some way into the top of the
Yeah, like the rope ladder. Yeah,
Rope
I think
ladder.
that's what we're gonna try. Is we're gonna try hovering over. Um, I'll see if I see anybody like down there where we're gonna land, because my inclination would be get close enough and try taking them out with arrows before we go down. But if not, we just take the rope ladder, and we take the rope ladder and lower ourselves down right into the tower from the top where it's blown open.
Okay. Another investigation.
All right.
Also with
Are you
help.
helping me? You're helping me, Mr. Ale Pounder?
Oh
All
yeah.
right, let's fish out a couple more
With its
D20 things.
2024 rules, increase dark vision to 120 feet from 60.
Really? Why?
I think all dark vision was increased to 120.
I think only some races have that. I don't know if I had to look.
I know dwarves and orcs do. Because Randan has the same thing.
Same thing. 18. 18, Dungeon Master.
So the dirigible flies over Ironlock and you circle, and as the smoke, there's a moment where the smoke somewhat clears a little bit, and you can see you see 3 figures, 2 of them tall, 1 of them shorter, so human size, and the other one are 2 orc silhouettes. You can make them up through the and they are looking around the for something in this upper portion of the Ironlock prison where the explosion had happened. So right away you're confronted with three figures.
Okay, I'm just going to ask this as a theoretical. Could we say that those 2 fire bombs that Sprocket made for Mr. Grimoire and he didn't use come into my possession before we embarked on this mission?
Given that I said earlier that you had what you needed, I would say yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Ale Pounder, be honest with me. How good are you at throwing? Be honest.
Metagaming honest. Athletics of +8.
That strength doesn't do me any good. Dexterity is throwing.
Dexterity. Well, I wasn't the best, but I'm a decent 16 if you were to rate me from 1 to 20.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. Gonna get as low as we can, without endangering the dirigible. Mr. Grimoire gave me these that Mr. Sprocket made. They go boom boom. All right. I want you to throw them at those bums that are down below. And then I'm going to start picking them off. Because what's the point of, we're going to be sitting ducks if we come down the ladder and,
You get seen.
they're going to spot us. So you got 2 of them and I got plenty of arrows.
All right.
Shall we?
Whatever you say,
I
boss.
certainly suspect that it would not occur to them to look up.
Yes, in fact, they're looking down. I
Yeah.
mean, and one of them is even at some point gets on their hands and knees, and he's like, is reaching his hands out and like pushing aside debris and poking around. And the 2 larger figures are even picking up boulders that have fallen and moving it aside. So they're looking for something. That's quite evident, and none of their attention is directed towards you.
Okay. So in the new rules, they more or less have a rule for flasks of oil, like what it does. So if this seems cool to you, it kind of has, it says target 1 creature within 20 feet of yourself. The target has to succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be covered in oil. But knowing Mr. Sprocket, he puts some sort of an igniter in this thing too. So then the only question is how many can we get with 1 vial? I seem to recall we talked about like maybe like 10 feet or something.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
So like maybe 4 squares on a map.
Yep.
So that being said, if we throw one, I would think if he makes a roll to hit, then it basically goes exactly where we want it to. And then when it splashes, they could get a saving throw to dodge it, kind of like a fireball. And then if they fail, we could say they take D10 of fire damage, half of a D10 of fire damage. And maybe it continues for 2 or 3 turns unless they put themselves out.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Perfect. That sounds perfect.
Okay. So that being said, I think between 2 vials, we could probably douse all 3 of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, they're kind of close together as they're looking for. Oh, there it is.
Okay. So should we consider that they all get a double shot or that each of them just gets a single shot?
Hold on, I'm getting my dice. Okay, what was that?
So should we assume that they all have to make 2 saving throws or do they each just make 1 saving throw?
No, we'll do 2 saving throws.
Okay. So the saving throw is going to be D8 plus Wart's dexterity modifier and proficiency bonus. So whatever that is, Wart. 8 plus
+3
dex
+3
bonus would be yeah.
So +6.
So 14 dex, DC dex save. That's to see whether they dodge the full blast. That would be half damage. Otherwise, they take full damage. So each one of them needs to roll that twice.
Okay.
Because it's literally you just take the 2 vials.
Well, the 2 large figures with they're very strong, but they have huge guts and they're not very fast. They're just strong. And so they're going to get a -1 on their rolls. So it's a 14. Okay. One of them is able to make the saving throw, and one of them fails miserably.
Okay,
Both?
so
Now you do
mystery
have the
Arcana
other
did.
mysterious figure that is there. Okay.
Yeah. Did he say or not?
See.
And in the meanwhile, Wart, you should roll 2d10.
Okay. The other one rolls a 4, so it definitely does not save.
Okay, so 2d10, Wart.
Will become 14.
Okay, so that means those who save take 7, and they're currently burning. The one who failed the save takes 14 in burning. That's in total, because that's the 2 flasks.
Okay. Yes.
So
So
they're
two
on
of them suffer
fire.
14, and one of them suffers 7, but all 3 of them are on fire.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so for however many rounds, unless they take an action, usually when you're burning, you can use your action to put yourself out. So like this turn, I mean, this is really a supply prize round, so they can't really do anything this turn, but like next turn, they could choose to use their action to put themselves out. Otherwise, it's probably going to last 1 or 2 rounds and then go out.
Okay.
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 So that being said, as part of the surprise round, as soon as they're on fire, I think I'm at level 6 now, so I definitely have 2 attacks. So as my bonus action, I'm going to put Hunter's Mark on the mysterious guy. Okay.
Okay.
And they changed the Hunter's Mark thing too, which is cooler. But for now, I'm just using the old rules because I didn't read all the rules yet. And I'm gonna take a shot at him. So let me get back to what. Yes, D20 plus 7. Well, I'll roll the 2 dice at once because I'm taking 2 shots. If one shot hits him, I'll move the other shot over onto one of the big guys. Oh, okay. First shot was natural 20.
Are you kidding me? Okay.
I kid you not. And the second shot was a 5. So if somebody has an armor class of 12, that would be a hit, but I doubt it hit. Correct?
No, it doesn't hit.
Yeah. Okay. So for the first one, here we go. Since it's critical, this guy's taken a lot of damage, which is good because he looks shifty, and the only one who can be shifty in this crew is me. And Wart can be my assistant shifty guy because he has earned that right. Okay, so I have this thing called Colossus Slayer, which means since he's below his hit point master, he takes an extra d8 of damage. However, since this is a critical hit, that means he takes 2d8 extra damage. The arrow, which is from a longbow, normally is 1d8 of damage, but since it's a critical hit, he takes 2d8 of damage. And if that wasn't enough, since he's got Hunter's Mark on him, he takes an extra d6 damage, but because it's a critical, he takes 2d6 damage. So this is going to be,
He's dead.
listen to the dice, listen to the dice. This is going to be an epic shot. These kind of shots are what Mr. Fletcher lives for. Oh my gosh, that's too many ones. Why, Lord? Why? Okay, it's not as impressive as it looks. Let's see. 9, 13, 16 plus his bonus 16, 20 points of damage.
Okay.
Whip, 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 whip.
How do you do it?
Really? Oh boy. Okay, so it's only one shot, right? It's like okay, so it's like literally the arrow, since it's coming from the top. I mean, the guy is already like this, right? He's slithering around, and And so I'm like aiming to kind of like really nail him, right? So it's hard to get a shot. And like when I see that it goes in like exactly where I want it, I'm like, yes. And he goes still for a minute. His eyes, I can't see under, so but like he goes stiff. It's like the burning is not happening anymore. And you see the only thing that is sticking out there is that. And the fact that he goes stiff, it distracts me so much. That's why the second shot goes off. And then he literally just crumples into a heap, and he's just a burning heap there.
There he is. Yes. So
Yeah.
as this happens, the other two ogre they look over at the person and then they start looking around and at the arrow, and they can't figure out where it's coming from, and one of them raises his eyes up towards you, and it's like he's kind of like trying to see through the smoke, and that's and he can see, I guess, probably this large banana-like object through the haze. But ogres, not being so intelligent,
You can
really.
say stupid. We're all friends here.
And the other one dead. They don't really know what to do. So yes.
Okay. I would say, to be fair, chances are the one who dodged is not on fire. He just took his damage and that's it.
Yes.
So did both of the ogres make it, or did one of them not make it?
No, they've both made it, yes.
They both made it. Okay. Yeah, just to be fair, it would be too much that they would still be burning and stuff. And I know from the rules in normal. Okay. So that being said, do you want us to go ahead and roll initiative now, and then
Yeah.
we see who does
Yes.
what next? All right.
I will roll for the
Awesome.
two ogres.
20. Not a
19.
natural 20.
19.
Excellent. Excellent.
So
I think we
20,
got the drop on him.
19, 6, and 1. Give me a
Oh, I
second.
love my
I gotta use the
I
bathroom.
love my job.
I know
Okay.
you really.
I love my job. Do you have any ranged attacks?
Only if I have something to throw.
Well, we could ask him if there's any rocks or anything up here on, I mean, something on the dirigible, but otherwise, maybe you start
I can literally
pulling
drop down on
down.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think these guys, they may have ranged attacks, but I don't think they're going to be very good at throwing them. And even if they do hit you with something, I don't think they're going to take you out in one turn. And that way, in the meanwhile, with any luck, I'll drop another one of them, and then you're just facing off on one while I come down. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also do
That way I'm covering for you, because they're going to be all like, while you're coming down. If I'm doing arrows on them, they're going to think twice about trying to come up after you until you're in position.
and also Way of the Drunken Fist subclass does well when they're surrounded by bad guys in melee.
Ah, okay. Perfect.
Like
Perfect.
you can do a flurry of blows and do one blow to a different person, and you get some benefit.
Okay, so Mr. Fletcher with the 20.
Okay.
And
So
wait, just so I have a good visual of this, are you like trying your best to keep the dirigible just floating up there? And
yeah,
how far of a distance away from the ogres are you in the air?
I would say that it seems to me that the rope ladder would have to be at least 40 feet, right?
Okay, yeah, we'll put the rope ladder at 40 feet.
Okay. So then there's probably going to be at least another 20 feet to kind of get up to the gondola level.
Yeah.
So I would say we up on the gondola would probably be 60 to 70 feet.
Okay.
Maybe partial cover, because we're kind of behind the railing of the gondola, but that's your decision.
Yes.
But I'm thinking 60 or 70 feet.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm telling Sprocket, just keep it as steady as possible.
Okay. Great.
So what I'm going to do is I already told while you were attending to the call of nature, he's gonna start making his way down when it's his turn. I'm gonna shoot arrows. Use my bonus action and move Hunter's Mark onto whichever one of the ogres looks the most crispy. And then I'm gonna take 2 shots at him.
Okay. Yes, there's one that is going to be spending this action trying to put the fire out on him. He's the one that looks the most crispy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm firing at the Kentucky Fried Ogre. 2 shots. Oh. Okay, well, I did a fumble on one, so I'll have to roll in the fumble chart. But the other shot is 14 enough to hit?
Yes.
All right.
You pierce through
Okay.
its hide armor.
Okay. So extra D8 because of Colossus Slayer, D6 because he's got Hunter's Mark on him, and then I add 7 to this. No, I'm sorry, I add 4 to this, whatever it is. Okay, not bad. 8, 12, 13 points of damage. And now I'll
Okay.
roll on the fumble table to see what happens with that other shot.
I'm curious, the Colossal Slayer, does that include giants?
It's basically any wounded creature.
Any
If a creature is, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, Colossus Slayer. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra D8 damage if it's below its HP maximum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. See, when you're a gnome, every other race is a Colossus. I mean, think about it.
That's true. Yeah.
The gnomes are like the smallest one. They're even smaller than halflings.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so apropos, especially for Mr. Fletcher, that it's called Colossus Slayer.
That's awesome.
There's a certain poetry to it. Now
There
let's see.
is.
Let's see. Creating maps, lost that. Let us complete management. Fumble charts. Okay, here we go. Oh, heaven help me. All right, D100. If anything happens, tell my mom I love her. 19. Huh, you become exhausted to level 1 of that condition. That makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I thought I'm stronger than I am. I got out of bed. And okay, so I have a level exhaustion now,
Yeah, you've
which is
been
going to
through a
basically
lot.
affect all of my ability. Yeah, it's going to affect all my ability checks.
We'll
I don't
say
think it
that
affects saving throws.
yeah, we can say, I mean, even though the curse is gone, it's still working through your system.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so Wart, what are you doing?
Ward sees Fletcher let go of the last arrow and then like clutch his heart. It's like, you okay, boss? And then
It's
he
okay.
looks
It's
like,
okay. Keep going. Keep going. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I guess. So how far did we say?
So
He
it's
is?
about 40 feet, you're about 60 to 70 feet above.
Okay, he is going to use his monk ability, Step of the Wind, which now in the 2024 rules, you have like a base version and then an enhanced version when you actually use the key point. The base version allows you to just take the dash action as a bonus action. And that's what he's going to do. So the bonus action, he dashes, which gets him 80 feet of speed, which should be enough to make it all the way to the ladder, all the way down.
Okay.
Well, just remember, climbing speed is halved unless you have something special.
Oh,
about
that's
that.
right. So
So just factor that in.
up to the ladder,
about
how
6
much?
You're right at the ladder.
Well,
You're right at the ladder. You don't
yeah.
have to move to get to it.
And
Okay, so I'm on
and the ladder
last
is
rung.
the ladder is 60 feet long.
Oh, 60? Okay.
Yeah.
Then he
So it'd
is
take you 120 to
two-thirds.
get all the way to the bottom.
He's 2/3 of the way.
You're 2/3 of the way down.
And
Unless, of course, you have some majestic
yeah, well, I
kung
could
fu jump feat.
so it's 60, I moved 80, therefore 40.
Yep.
I'm 20 feet up. So that'd be a big drop. I could use my whole action, but then to dash again, but then I won't be able to do anything once I got to the bottom. So yeah, doesn't make sense to go all the way to the bottom because then I'd be vulnerable, invisible. So he'll just spend the rest of the turn on the ladder.
Okay. The two ogres are gonna go next. They have some javelins, and they can see you coming down the ladder towards them. And one of them, however, is putting out the fire, so that's going to be his turn. And then however, you said it's D10 damage per turn, right? For the fire damage.
Correct.
Father Sweeney, once you roll a D10 for the damage that it takes. And the other one is going to throw a javelin at Wart. Wart,
That's 8 damage for the other, the brain, 8 fire damage.
okay. What's your armor class, Wart?
It is 15.
15. The javelin just goes, it's not even close to you. Okay. In fact, it's so far away, it's like it's almost humorous.
Like he goes straight up and just runs out of.
Yeah, just straight up runs out of, and it just, you can see it falling harmlessly way down to the water below. So you're swaying there on this ladder, and the other ogre has put out the fire, and now we're back to
But
Mr. Fletcher.
Well, I'm going to take another 2 shots at Kentucky Fried Ogre.
Okay.
Okay, 11 is a miss, but 21 is not. So he gets 1 shot for D8 plus a D6 plus 4. 9, 13 points of damage.
Ooh. 13. Okay, this ogre, it's burned and bloodied, but that it's getting really mad. It's actually making it matter. Even though you could tell he's got 2 arrows sticking out of him, and he's all charred up. And go ahead, Wart.
so Ward finishes climbing down the ladder.
Okay.
Jumps, I guess, in between them.
Yep.
And yeah, let's do a flurry of blows, which is, let's see, first action, which now as a monk, he gets 2 attacks per action. So unarmed strike. So let's say if there's a gap between the bottom of the ladder and the ground,
Yeah.
he'll jump that, and as he's getting to head level, he'll kick the head.
Of which one? The one that's wounded, has been hit several times with a couple arrows sticking out of it and charred up, or the other one that has been so far seems to have avoided most of your attacks.
Let's do, yeah, a double kick against the weak one.
Okay,
That is an 18 to hit.
that definitely hits. Yes.
Or ooh. Oh. So if we're using the 2024 rules, I get to re-roll once on damage dice, once per long rest or turn or something like that. And I rolled a 1, so if you allow me, I can re-roll
Sure.
that.
Okay.
And I have to roll whatever this is. If it's another 1, it's a 3. So 8 is the first kick. Second kick. 13 to hit. Sorry, 21 to hit. I
That
rolled a
hits.
13. For 12 bludgeoning damage.
How do you do it?
It's just like a bicycle kick with both feet as he's coming down. So I'm sure he just like gets knocked back and knocked back again, maybe like right in the nose.
Yeah.
Just topples down.
It
He's an
topples
ogre, it's
down.
just probably a hole.
Yes.
And
Uh,
but
yes. And that makes his friend enraged.
and he spins around and spends a force point, now they're called, a focus point, sorry, to do flurry of blows and do 2 more unarmed strikes, this time with his fists
Okay.
against the other ogre. That's a 14 to hit.
Hit.
For 13 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Second hit. Uh-oh. 12.
That hits.
Oh, it hits.
They're just big.
Yeah. For 10 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
I have to ask next time. Maybe that one shot that I thought missed didn't miss. The natural one obviously missed.
It takes out it's got its this massive club that it's going to swing at you, Wart. Actions. I see that they only get one. Yeah, it's just one attack. And what's your armor class?
15.
15. Gets a +6 to hit.
A 1 to an 8. I'm okay.
I just have to say in your role playing, I'm not feeling the drunk vibe, Ward.
11.
11. So as he when it swings his thing, Ward starts to like stagger a little bit as if he's drunk. So his erratic movements, as a drunk person, the ogre couldn't foresee it that he was going to dodge that way.
Yes, he completes.
And like as he gets back up, his arm swings down to his belt to his normal alcohol, not his special alcohol, and he takes a quick swig and puts it back. So just like the whole.
Awesome. That seems to infuriate the ogre even
And he laughs.
that he can't even hit a drunken person. That brings us back to Mr. Fletcher floating in the sky in the dirigible.
Yeah, bonus action. I'm going to move my hunter's mark onto him and take 2 shots at the ogre, who's not the Kentucky Fried Ogre, because the Kentucky Fried Ogre is down for the count.
That is a doornail.
Okay, I rolled a 26 and a 12.
Both hit.
This is great. Let's see. 8, 16. 24 points of damage.
24 points of damage.
Yeah, that's total up the 2 shots with the hunter's mark.
Okay. Oh man, this one that is 2. The 2 arrows really have struck it, and it is really hurting. Wart, you're up.
He targets where one of the arrows hit, maybe his shoulder or his side or something, and he
Okay.
does another just attack, unarmed strike,
Okay.
attack action, which has 2 attacks,
Okay.
aiming for that spot. 13 to hit
That hits.
for 10 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And as I guess he hits his side and he bends over a little bit, and he uppercuts for a 26 to hit. Definitely hits.
Definitely hits.
Something tells me that hits.
8 damage.
How do you do it?
So I'm gonna, speaking of Drunken Fist, I saw this in a Jackie Chan movie. Like he hits him in the nose and he starts wobbling. And so Ward backs up to just give one final kick and knock him down. And as he does so, like the wobbling, it's hard for him to target where to hit because he just keeps wobbling. So he walks up, straightens him up, goes back to hit him. And then right before he kicks, the ogre just drops by himself.
Okay, so you've cleared out this upper portion of at least of the danger, and you're standing in the middle of a place with lots of smoldering, um, places where wood or things have been. There's fire, so there's smoke all around you, ruins and so forth. And I'm imagining Mr. Fletcher going to come down, or what's the plan?
Oh yeah, I slide effortlessly down the rope ladder,
Yes,
as is wont to my dexterous style.
yes.
And we are, and I tell us, Sprocket, we'll see you right back here in 1 hour.
He flies off.
Thanks for the ride. Okay, well, first we go through the bodies and see if we find anything interesting.
Well, you're quite surprised. You find the one person the first of the smaller figure is a human. It's a human. You're looking at it, and it seems to be well, it looks like it's a wizard, actually. You can tell by some of the tattoos on the body, and some it has sorry, just components, spell components that would be needed, like little for spells and so forth. So that's what you have from the one that's dead. And of course the two ogres have nothing of interest on them. So
Well, do they have maybe something of pecuniary interest? Because, man's got expenses. Moolah, dough, cash,
no,
lettuce.
no,
And the wizard
Ogre
didn't
these
happen to
days.
bring his field spell book with him, did he?
no spell book. No.
All right.
I wonder what he was doing
Okay.
here. He doesn't look like a prisoner.
No. It doesn't seem like he's a prisoner at all. No.
Okay. So I'm gonna need your help because Mr. Ale Pounder, let's check out this place, see if we can find out anything about the fire. They were looking for something. Maybe we'll find it. Whatever they're looking for must be valuable. And then we'll start making our way down Quiet Lake.
Sure, I'll give you my help. If you mean investigate on my own or help your investigation.
No, I need you to help me because right now I got disadvantage on all my
Yeah.
rolls because of exhaustion. That's the price of exhaustion in the legacy rules. So, shall I do an investigation roll, beloved?
Yes, make your investigation roll.
All right. Thank goodness for. Oh, actually, no, they cancel out, right? No,
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to roll again because I just get a straight roll because with him it cancels out the disadvantage. I rolled twice, so it was a mistake. My bad.
You forgive.
Even better. 21.
Okay, so you're Mr. Fletcher, you look around the room and you realize that this is the very, very top of the room, okay? And there's portions of like tapestries that used to hang on the wall, in the part of the wall that hasn't been blown to bits, that gives a sense that at one point this was a pretty nice room, okay? There's underneath you, there's a little bit of a carpet that was once there that's been blown to shreds as well and burned up. And lots of like wooden structures that would have been like maybe at one time a table and some chairs that would have been nice. Like you're looking at the parts of the wood that are there, and it seems to be very, very high end wooden. So it's quite the room. Um, and let's see. As you continue to, you just keep on pushing aside rubble. You find underneath one piece of rubble, chessboard.
Okay.
Okay.
So I take out my careful gnome crook gloves and I touch, I take it up and I look at it. It's like in one of those detective things, where they put on the rubber gloves before they
Yeah.
touch the evidence.
Ward pulls out the plastic bag so he can put it in the evidence
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah. He's got his magic marker out to put the number on it. And I take a closer look at that. I'm also interested if I find like any hidden compartments, wall safes, anything like that. Okay, but so what material is this chessboard made out of?
The chessboard is what catches your eye about the chessboard is it is silver, entirely made out of silver.
Does it look like it was even damaged by the fire and the explosion, or does it look like pristine? It makes me suspect it's magical.
Uh, it has a bunch of a heavy coating of soot on it, but it was not destroyed. But it looks like it was near something that was, so to speak,
Okay.
throw it. And that as you pick up the chessboard, you're like, oh my gosh, you realize then that where the epicenter of the explosion is towards I guess the north part of the room, and you're able to, well, you can stay with the chessboard, but that's what you're picking up.
Okay, so something on the north side of the room blew up. Okay, so I polish off the chessboard and we bag it and tag it.
Yep.
And
Put
then we go,
silver chessboard in your,
Just the board? Any pieces?
no pieces, not yet. No.
What good's a board if you don't got pieces?
hey, if it's worth silver, I'll melt it down. I don't care about playing chess with it, but it might be something more important. For now, we'll just store it and see. I'm making a note of this. There. Okay. All right. Well, then I would like to go inspect the northern part more closely to see if there's any clues as to what caused the explosion. Like if it looks like it was done naturally with like oil or a bomb, because we've seen some of those gunpowder things and stuff. Or if there's no apparent source, that would make me think it might have been something magical. So should I do another investigation roll for that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And Ward helps.
More it helps because natural one. I'm baffled. Or at least okay, obviously this was aliens from Mars who one of them lit a smoke by a gasoline pump that just mysteriously materialized here. And you
For
didn't know you're not supposed to smoke at a gasoline station and it blew up. That's my educated theory.
okay. Ward, are you searching around too yourself or no?
He's aiding me so I don't get
Yeah.
disadvantage on the roll.
Okay. That's
The
it.
only thing you said there was like the table and the chair is really nice. I'm sure the wood is nice and solid. If there's a leg that's broken off that's club sized, he might pick it up and just
Uh,
to have.
yes, though it's kind of like a piece of wood that's been burned, so part of it's more like charcoal than it is club-like.
Hey, you should take one of
Okay.
the great clubs off the ogre.
Yes, there's some great clubs on the ogre.
Oh,
Yes, and a javelin or two.
Javelins,
yeah.
ranged attacks based on strength. Hint, hint.
Are they versatile? Or you have to throw them?
No, javelins are meant to be thrown. I think you can use them as a low grade spear as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, you can.
You
But
can pick up one of the javelins if Mr. Fletcher suggests it.
Well, pick up as many as you can because they're meant to be throw and forget weapons. So they might have between the two of them, they might have up to 6 of them. They may not have like a half dozen or so because they're meant to just be thrown at people.
so you're a little bit discouraged as you're prying about, okay? And you're pushing over some of the bigger stones. You're right where you can still feel even that some of the rocks here are emanating heat. And as as you're pushing away, you're starting to get, even now that they're getting closer and closer, that some of the stones are still warm and underneath a pile of rubble. As you're kind of climbing up there, you realize that there's a mound of stone in one place, and it still is really hot. Like whatever is inside of underneath all of this is still emanating heat.
Okay. We grab I don't want to melt my blades on this thing. So we'll grab a reasonably long piece of furniture debris or something to kind of trying to clear that area and see if we can dig out whatever is super hot right there.
Okay.
Like just kind of clear all the stuff to see if we can make out what it is.
Yes, underneath there you see uh it's like you really can't, it was like, as it was at one time a larger chess piece that has been completely blown open, and it's all made out of pure silver. So it's like the king chess piece was like blown open.
So somebody was trying to be poetic. Interesting. And that's still like super hot. Like, I mean, it's probably
Oh,
glowing
it's
hot.
like, yeah, it's like glowing hot, this silver item. You're
Can
you're poking at it with your stick, but as you poke at it, you can't really tell, but it looked like at one point there was some sort of inscription that was on it, but it's only like it's not even one, or you can't really make out what letters they are, because like an ancient scroll or something has been ripped in half. You just know there was some kind of writing that was at one point on this piece.
Okay. Well, we're gonna
would
try and knock it over somewhere on a cooler part of the floor. I'm hoping it'll cool off by the time we're ready to pull out. And then if there's nothing else of interest in here, we're gonna try and sneak down a level. There's some obvious way to get down another level and see what's going on deeper in the prison.
Okay, so you put the piece aside. Yes, there's a door that leads downward, but you're immediately met with a challenge, which is that the staircase there that leads down is destroyed, and it's like it's part of the of course the stone structure is there, but if you'd have to like swing and drop down to the next level of the floor there.
you good for swinging and dropping, boss?
Yeah, I'm not as good at it as I normally am, but I know you're Mr. Dexterity. I think between the two of us, we could figure it out. And I also got tons of rope. If you remember the salt rock incident, I got like hundreds and hundreds of feet of rope. So, besides, we're gonna have to climb back up, so we need to tie it on something to lower ourselves down with a rope. So if we need to go farther down to investigate, I think we got to do it.
yes, you could also, I mean, that's where the door is, but
Mhm.
in another sense, you could just do the that and swing down anyway, because the like a large portion of the explosions seem to have went upward, but it also emanated downward, which pushes part of the floor down as well. So you could swing both on you know, I guess on the one portion where the door is, but also on the other side, you could move down. It's that way as well. I'm
Does
not
it
gonna
involve
require.
any,
What's that? No, I won't.
sorry, does,
I won't require like a dexterity or athletics check to do it.
okay, since we're both like super dexterous ninjas, we'll just parkour
Yes.
down there.
So
I just want to make sure we have a way to get back up.
um yes, you would.
Okay.
It depends how
Yeah,
fast
because
you want to get up. You could get up like scaling the wall itself or through the rubble, like using the rubble as like steps, so to speak. But if you want to put like tie a rope and hang it down, you could definitely do that as well.
yeah, if I felt the need to leave a piece of rope, I know we're not going to dash back up. This is not going to like we're going to beat a hasty escape. If I think that we have enough that, you know, it's basically difficult terrain, like climbing speed to get back up without having to do a rope, I'm
Yeah.
cool with that.
Okay.
But if I think I need to leave some rope to facilitate that, I will leave rope like tied and moored so that we can get up to where we need to go.
We'll say at one point in your descent, you're going to need to do that. I'll tell you what you
Okay.
see just for the sake, because for the sake of time, what you kind of find as you're going through Iron Lock Prison.
Okay.
You're okay. So you enter into one. So everything has been blown to bits, and unfortunately, as you go along, you're seeing like burned, um, prisoners that were once there that have been fried to a pulp. And the image that I have in mind is that unfortunate moment where Luke Skywalker comes back to his little house and he sees that stormtroopers have been there and literally are like these poor singed up. So you see cadavers and like that sort of the wizards that unfortunately were there trapped in their cells and they went through a horrifying um moments. So another level, you come to what was the Lukotomoy hatchery. Okay. And these are all burned to a crisp as well. These insect-like creatures that you've come to loathe. If you face them, I know Ward has for sure. They're like fried to bits as well. And you can see little bits and pieces of them. And what was once a hatchery. The once I think if you were there before, you remember there was a magnificent staircase that descended down
Yeah.
towards where that's all like it shambles. But as you move down that stairwell, you notice as you get to the bottom to where the trash pit is, that there's a hole that's been blown into the bottom as well of Ironlock Prison, and that's being filled up now with brackish water. Okay, so you're not even able to get down to the first floor where the trash pit once was, because that's all filled with dark, black, rancid smelling water that is coming and is like bubbling up from underneath Ironlock Prison. But for you to get to that part, of course, you'd have to have some sort of, well, capacity to be able to swim underwater for great depths. You can't even see into the water, so brackish.
Now, do we find bodies of the Katamoy guards all over the place too?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All over the place. You're like
I
essentially
assume,
stepping over them, moving them around, and yes, yeah. Yeah.
do they,
To give a
I
number,
know
we'll
they
say
had,
like 40 of them and maybe 50 prisoners and so forth are in general what you're seeing as you go around the prison.
okay, two questions. First, I know when we encountered them in Worthington's tower,
Yep.
they had these domination rings on them. Do
Yes.
they have those rings on them and do they appear to be intact?
Uh, yes, they all have these domination rings.
Okay. As I go down, I'm popping off the rings. and like
Okay.
putting them on a cord.
Yes.
And my second question is in Leucotomoy hatchery, this is just an suspicion. Does it look like the the wizards were being turned into Leucotomoy? Like, do I see any weird sort of hybrid skeletons that, you know, some of them were here and something blew out of their brains, or like weird bodies that suggest that something like that might happen? Now, for that, I might
Uh,
need to do an arcana check, or I'm specialized in monstrosities, but I think you already told me these things are aberrations, so I don't think I have any
it does
special
not.
stuff on that.
Yeah. Um, it most certainly is your guess that that is in fact what was happening.
That would explain why they were kept alive.
Yes.
That would explain what they're kept alive. So somebody's cleaning house.
Hmm.
Somebody is cleaning house. And that wizard that we took out, he didn't have any orders or anything. His
No.
robes didn't. I mean, no, they would. If the it was the Council of Two, they wouldn't have put any distinguishing stuff on him. So,
No.
all right. So, I
Do we
know
need to
they
keep
pretty
any of
much
this
put
as,
the.
What's
do we
that?
need, do we need to keep any of this as evidence? If someone is trying to hide it and destroy it?
Well, what I'm thinking of doing first, we have the rings. We have the chessboard. I'm assuming, if I remember all right, all those wizards, I mean, they put them in these generic costumes. They didn't have any of their personal effects on them, right?
No.
Like nothing
So
particular.
that's nothing in particular.
So I might look around to see, you know, like in prisons, in a normal prison, they have like a chamber where they process the prisoner, and that's where they turn in their original clothes and personal
Yeah.
effects and stuff. Is there anything like that here?
You think that you've gone through a place like that. You certainly find a room of that regards, but it's all destroyed in the fire.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's like
Yes.
no mementos or anything,
No
or
mementos. I mean, you could if you really wanted to spend a lot of time,
Mhm.
but it really is like digging through the burnt out interior of, yeah.
Okay.
So, um, yeah.
Okay. Well, what I do is I'm coming as we get to as far down as we can get before having to do the thing we are not going to do, which is dive into the water. Like I said, I collect all the rings on a cord because I stash them away with the board. Every once in a while, when I get like a good spot to kind of see everything at a certain level, I cast minor illusion to try and reproduce it with minor illusion because I have that as a spell always prepared. Because what
What are
my
you
plan is that
reproducing? Sorry?
what I'm trying to do is basically mental
Taking
snapshots.
photos, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
of the key areas. Because and then what I do is to make sure I got the snapshot pretty much well, I'm going to cast minor illusion to try and reproduce it until I see that it's more or less a good facsimile of the area. So like I'll take like probably like, you know, that nursery, the office area, the grand stairwell. I think it's probably going to be 6 or 7 images.
Okay.
So do you want me to make some sort of a roll to indicate how good I managed to depict it, or is that
Yes.
enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and make a roll. Yeah.
All right. And then I have him help me because
Okay.
I can always like I always project the illusion. I can say, how
Yeah,
does that
look at
look? Does that look like it? And then you can say, well, no, you got to have this over here. Okay, not bad. 18.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to recall. You're able to do the illusions, so you have it. You have that down.
Okay. Okay. And then what I'll probably do when I get back to some sort of a rest point, because this is a common tactic in the crew. So we got a couple of guys who are pretty good sketch artists. So what we do is we go, like when we're casing out a joint, that way they don't find anything on us when we're casing out a joint to rob it. And one of our sketch guys, we go, And literally we project the minor illusion and the guy sketches it all out on paper so that we don't have to keep reproducing it every time. It's Culvert Crew Tactic 101. It's called the Culvert Crew Case Out.
You got any explosive people? Experts?
Oh yeah, probably, but it's a little too noisy for ordinary business.
Not just
We're mostly
if they might know anything
forming
about this.
personal enhancement products. Well, that's why if the chess piece cools down enough, I want to take it with me. By the time we do the search up and down, oh, actually, I have even a better idea. If it's not cool enough for us to take, like at the end of the hour, the broken chess piece,
Yep.
what I'm probably going to try and do is just kind of wrap it in something and take it down to the brackish water and dunk it in the brackish water and see if that does like a psh.
Okay. So you bring, it's not cool. So you go down to the brackish water. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you dunk it in, the water turns. Well, it's already this brackish water, but as the heat meets the water, there's like this bubbling and it turns this sickly greenish brown. Okay. And as you pull it out, the water has like cooled off, but it's soaked in. It's kind of like this greasy, oily sheen on top of it. And there's like this metallic stench that comes out from the water.
Okay.
And
I just
you're actually really interested. So you've seen this before, and you've been in touch with sewer water before, and this is more like you look at the water that's kind of in this section that's going down, and it's not water from, like, it is mixed with salt water from the ocean and all that, but it's like more like a sludgy feel to the water.
all right. I
Right.
pull out a vial and take
Okay.
a sample of it.
Okay.
Am I able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to take a sample of it because this obviously bears for the study. And then so now I can handle the piece. Like if I put it in
Yes.
a bag, it's kind of slimy and stuff, but I can pretty much wrap it up in something so that it doesn't make my backpack disgusting because I pride myself on my personal appearance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can handle the piece. It's the king of the from the chessboard. It has been blown open. But
Okay.
you're amazed that something so powerful could have come from such a small, completely silver piece.
Well, that's magic. You know, I seen some things. I'm telling you. One of these days when we're back at Wickhaven, I'll tell you some stories, Ward. Boy, things that'd turn your hair white. Okay, so I assume that's about an hour. We cased out the joint. So now with all that
Yes.
equipment, we make our way back up.
Yep.
And we kind of stay, if we arrive back early enough waiting for the dirigible, we'll kind of stay in hiding as much as we can up in that area until we hear it coming around.
Yes.
And then we'll come out and we'll shimmy up the rope ladder.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so at the start of next adventure, remind you, well, you want to get this. Well, let me. What are you going to do with this vial of brackish water?
Well, with the vial of brackish water, I'm going to give it to Mr. Grimoire because I'm sure he's going to want to analyze it. I'm basically going to give him everything. If he says, "Oh, this is just silver now," then, once he's done whatever studies he needs, if he thinks it doesn't need to be kept as evidence, we're going to melt it down and sell it.
Okay.
And Mr. Grimoire is going to analyze the brackish water because I see this as totally his department. And I will tell him that looks like somebody was cleaning the house. We don't know exactly who. And all the wizards.
It might be more as you're like kind of looking at the water. It's like you're wondering, even though it's like water, but you're thinking, gosh, it's kind of like, even if I should write it in my character sheet, it would say more like brackish sludge than water itself.
Is this a vial of gelatinous cube?
No,
Is
no.
it Is that
No,
what you're dropping hints about? Because I remember the mix-in with the gelatinous cube.
that would
Grimoire,
have
I
been really cool.
remember.
I gotta
Yeah.
admit, it's not the gelatinous cube. No, but you're like, it does remind me in
Brackish.
some
If it's
ways of
not,
the gelatinous cube. Yes,
yeah, if it's not water, what did you say it was? Brackish,
sludge,
watery
sludgy,
sludge.
ichor kind of, and it had let out like this metallic stench.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
See, now the question is whether the mind flare is still around or not, or whether they killed him too. This is fascinating. See, the good thing about Mr. Fletcher is he doesn't need to do so much of this big picture stuff because he just does
Yeah.
his job, hands over the information to Mr. Grimoire, and he does all the
Does
heavy
all the
thinking.
thinking.
Yeah.
Who was it who was talking to Worthington's sister? Was that one of
Marshmallow,
other?
I think. I think it was Marshmallow.
Would he have shared that conversation with everyone? I think so.
Oh yeah, we all know everything. That's why when I came back to Wickhaven, the first thing I asked you was catch me up so that we all know
Okay.
everything. Because we had a heavy
just-
session where everybody was exchanging everything they knew, except for maybe those sneaky nobles. But
I'm
that's
just
what
wondering
nobles
if
are like.
I'm wondering if Wart would remember that he always left the queen for last. And now the king is the one that's attacked.
This is just wow.
Roll a
Like, history,
history check.
that's a 17.
I'll say you remember something to that effect. Yes.
So as they're on their flight home, like, oh, he always left the queen for last. Isn't that what Worthington's sister said? When the king would play chess, when Worthington would play chess? I wonder if somebody's trying to make a statement here.
But it's the king that blew up.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know
Maybe
where you're
it's
going with this. It's too complicated. Maybe I'm still, I'm still a little woozy after throwing down with the mummy and getting blinded, poisoned, infected with mummy rot, eaten alive by locusts, boing. I think that was everything. Beaten within an inch of my life, saved by a miraculous intervention by somebody who I never thought capable of doing a miraculous intervention, and
You get a
So
good
right
night
now,
rest.
I'm just glad to do a job again.
Get a good
I think we got some good information here.
When we get home, I'll make a hot toddy for you. I know how to do those well.
One thing you would be
Now-
pleased about is that pure silver chessboard was probably quite the
With
hype.
its weight in silver.
Yes, worth its weight in silver.
That's why I'm hoping that we get some cash out of it, because I realize would be really good to get, except in the equipment, it's 1,000 gold pieces is a spyglass. You can get a spyglass, but it's 1,000 gold pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
Because imagine if we'd had a spyglass up in the dirigible. That would have been so cool. It's like, look, there's something huge swimming underneath.
Yes, a spyglass
This
would be a long way.
Yeah. One thought comes to mind,
Okay.
based on all the cues that you're giving me. Could I make a nature or an arcana check to see whether that water seems to me like from a creature? Like blood or something that was like blown up or poisoned or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. You
Is
want
it
me to do
something-
arcana or nature?
You tell me. I'm up in either way. Depends kind of what you're looking for.
Nature. I'm curious. Okay, there's a sludge. You said it's kind of an ichor, smells kind of metallic and things like that. I'm wondering whether this is the blood of something that was pretty huge.
Okay.
In which case, maybe they took out whatever that creature was that was flopping out the tentacles, or maybe the master brain or whatever of these things was cased out under there, and they knew that they had to kill it too. Those are my two theories.
Okay.
This one, unfortunately, is a disadvantage because
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say
don't
it's not
think
really something work can
I
help
don't
with.
think yeah, work can't help me with this. He's a great guy in many things.
He's a
It's
city
not part
guy.
of his skill set. Which it loaded a little, but it's not bad. I got a 15. I would have got a 22, but with the disadvantage, I got a 15.
How would you go about trying to discern if this is water, or if it's blood, or if it's something? What would you do, Mr. Fletcher?
Okay.
You have a match or something?
I would I would think more about what the metallic smell is, because you know how blood, you can kind of smell the iron in blood,
Yep.
right? So I would try to identify what the metallic smell was. If any of those bodies of the leucotomoi survived enough that there was some blood left over, I would try to remember what the leucotomoi's blood smelled like when I slashed them,
Yeah.
because I had a couple of run-ins with them.
Did Mr. Fletcher ever go to? I'm sorry, this is probably but you have to. Did he ever go to Worthington's Tower, to the second floor?
Work did.
Wart did.
Yeah, I never went up there. That was Grimoire's baby all the way. I never set foot in the tower.
You're
Because
doing
that
it
involved
with
this.
Wart, and you're looking at with this with Wart. Wart, give me a roll. I suppose it would be.
Also nature?
It could be nature. It would be something to gather your memory to
I think
something.
it's more history, but it's the same bonus. That's also a 15.
So Wart, as you're smelling this, you're reminded of when you tipped over one of the vats. There was like this watery kind of substance inside the vat that the figures were held in. If you remember that.
And then he gets one of those like, oh, I just remembered something.
It
That's what.
smells. It's not as strong. This vat of water, this water that you have in the vial is much stronger, but it's the same odor.
Yeah, and this smells just like those vats we were telling you about in at top of Worthington's Tower. When we tipped them over, just stench that I'll never forget. And now that we're back in the dirigible and calm, I can smell this vial. It's exactly the same. That had those strange bodies in it.
That's perfect. Grimoire will remember it, because I remember he took a sample of that other stuff too, didn't he? As I recall.
The other thing you're
So
going to is you're kind of like you sort of, as you've touched the water, it doesn't leave the feeling of water on your skin, but more of something of a slimy residue. But it's not but the matter, the thing itself does not seem like it's from like the decomposition of it's not blood.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is
So
it
the
is like
closest.
yeah, it's some sort of slimy residue-y kind of thing.
So maybe there was some other sort of chamber underneath, or maybe that was where they got that weird fluid from. Okay. That gives me some information. Excellent.
Excellent. Good.
I have made note of that.
All righty. Great adventure.
Awesome.
Yes,
Nice to start
indeed.
perforating some punks again. Perforated punks. After Kentucky frying them.
We'll have to move upward from ogres. No. Ogres are the right ones. That's exactly what I want, because they're the ones.
I mean, their hit point level is high, but it's like
Yeah.
2 or 3 rounds raining damage on them. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's going to drop. So I think I will change over. The next time Mr. Fletcher comes out, he'll be the new rules.
Okay.
Because I noticed how they distinguish between legacy and stuff, so they're already telling me some of the changes. But that way, I assume if I go back to the character builder, it'll let me change it over to the non-legacy
Yeah.
stuff. Because right now it's still set to the legacy stuff. But
Yeah, I think just let me know.
like,
Like,
I'll give you a list
The
if
major
you want.
differences.
I'll tell you the things that I know changed.
yeah,
And if anything smells fishy to you, say, nah, I use the old rule or whatever
yeah.
rule, and I'll be happy to do that.
What I'm most keen on is just being able to build the character like you feel the character should be. So,
Yeah.
um, without getting overly, what do you call that? Overly powerful, like too, but at least like how the character you feel that your character should be, like that's what. So if there's like
Yeah.
a feat or something that's not at the service of that, but you would like to tweak that or something with the new rule. Yeah, that's kind of
Okay.
my outlook on it. That makes sense. Yeah.
I will say, Wart, you should look at the feat Tavern Brawler.
I already have it. Yeah.
Have you looked at that? It's like, man, if he gets in a fight in a tavern, like, watch out. It's just boom, boom, bah, bah.
Bottles, chairs, tables.
Yeah, bottles, chairs, everything becomes like an improvised weapon. It's really cool.
And then mixed with the way of the drunken fist, like you get, I think when you do a flurry of blows and each blow is against a different enemy, you also disengage and gain speed. So like he can like weave his way through everybody and not get any opportunity attacks.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, they've buffed up the monks, I think, right? Didn't they say that that was one of
They
the
Yeah.
buffed up everybody.
yeah. Yeah, everybody's really
Like even now, Hunter's Mark, it's not so much Hunter's Mark anymore. They give you like this thing called Favorite Enemy, where the Hunter's Mark is like you get a certain number of them, and it kind of works like Hunter's Mark, but it's like a class feature now. It's not like a spell. So, which is really interesting because, for example, then that means I have that and I don't have to, the few spells as a ranger that I can prepare, I don't need to dedicate one of those slots always to Hunter's Mark. So I have more spell slots that I can cast. I can cast different things. I have these Hunter's Mark shots. I was telling Father John how they have these features on weapons, like that Colossus Slayer thing. They have a feature for some weapons called Nick, which means that even if you miss, you do a little damage to them.
yeah.
So since I normally do 2 attacks, if I miss on the first one and use the Nick feature, they're damaged. And then with the second attack, I can do that Colossus thing to them. So things like that enable me to do a little more damage. And
I'm
a lot of the cool
curious,
stuff, you
I'm
get a few
curious
extra
about how
uses.
what they're gonna do with the monsters in the monster manual to see about keeping up with the characters.
Yeah, they said
Well, there's some monsters in the appendix of the player's handbook that you could probably check those to get an idea of how they. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm on the spells chapter now, but chances are you could look at them. And then they have the 2014 free rules out, but I don't think that. I think the most monsters you would find that are now published under the new system are going to be in the back of the player's handbook.
yeah, they said they're going to keep the existing monsters. They're going to keep their challenge rating, but they've been noticing a lot of the older monsters, what their challenge rating was and the actual challenge that the monster presented was less. So they're going to beef up the monsters to meet what their challenge rating should be or has already been.
And that's what I found in general. When I used the challenge rating system when I was DMing, the players would usually wipe the floor with them unless they were completely incompetent. And unfortunately, they're usually not completely incompetent. And then they were like bored. And then then every once in a while you'd run into one with a super high challenge rating. It's like, okay, I'll give them a challenge. And he like obliterated them because he had the features that
Yeah.
neutralized whatever an edge they had on them.
Yeah, I'll never forget when you all wiped out my dragon.
Oh yeah, that was
And then
so
you
cool.
almost wiped us out.
It
a
was
couple
really
episodes.
awesome. I mean,
It was
I was really,
awesome.
I didn't want, I mean, obviously I enjoyed that, but it's kind of like as I was crafting how I was thinking the adventure was going to go, like this dragon was going to be like this antagonist over several sessions, and you just like
Burnt to a crisp.
clean them up in one adventure. Ravenous, like scaling up and like jumping off the tower and whack, 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 and then you're calling lightning down, and yeah. And then Antonio's
And
character.
then the goblin shaman that lasted exactly 5 minutes. This 5 minute debut. It's blood.
It always gave me like,
Oh, that was
I
hysterical.
was like, at least I killed one of Antonio's characters.
And
He
then-
was always
and
like,
and then he made the cavalier that he was sure was indestructible, and he got
Until he got
petrified by the
turned into stone,
basilisk.
yeah.
I know, that was like, yeah.
It's like, it's like, I don't know why he even tried. There is some cosmic justice for somebody who's trying to like maximize the rules to be indestructible or
Yeah.
an
And he was
instant
like-
killer.
He was so down about, well, I mean, he wasn't down about, but I was like, yeah, he's like, can I have a triceratops? I was like, yeah, you can have a triceratops. And then he gets oh yeah. Yeah, that was great. Awesome, Padres. All right, well, we'll see you next Sunday.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's great. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.